Welcome to Plant Propagation Lab. Today we're going to be learning how to make cuttings. We're going to use a couple different techniques, and so I'd like to just recall on some topics we learned in the past couple weeks, some pretty dense topics, and we're going to go over those items and then talk about how they're going to apply to what we're doing today. And so we're going to review some items. I've got them listed here. Our first topic I'd like to talk about is totipotency. Does anyone remember what totipotency means? Right, so totipotency means that a plant can be created, a whole new plant can be created from just one cell of a plant. And so that's going to allow us to make plants out of parts like this little leaf cutting or stem cutting. Here's a leaf. We're going to use this to make plants. And so that's what allows us to manipulate some plants as propagators. The next item is mitosis. Does anyone remember what mitosis is? Right, so it's just cell division. Basically, that is the asexual form of cell division. This allows plants to grow bigger, to repair, things like that. It happens in our own human cells when we're replacing skin cells and things like that. So it's essentially a cloned cell. And we're going to, again, use that in our exercise today by taking plants and making whole new clones of a parent plant. Then we also talked about cell differentiation. Does anyone remember what that means? Right, so cells have to differentiate in order to become the organ systems that we know of, just like roots and things like that. And so today we're going to take some plants that haven't had any kind of differentiation of cells yet, and we're going to initiate roots by adding this IBA rooting hormone. And so that's another way that we're going to manipulate cell differentiation in the plant propagation to make new plants. Some other topics that we talked about were the propagator's sphere of influence. And so this is basically all the things that a plant propagator can do or needs to be aware of while making new plants. Can anyone tell me about some of the abiotic factors? Right, so that's going to be climate, really. It's relative humidity, it's temperature, it's light, things like that. And those are all things we can manipulate through the greenhouse. And we're going to learn that today. We're going to end up using the misters in the greenhouse. We're going to be using shade cloth in the greenhouse. And so those two things are going to allow these plants to kind of rest as plants and then be able to put their energy into producing roots and becoming whole new plants. And so then we're going to go ahead and just dive into what we are learning today, which is how to make cuttings. So the overview for making stem cuttings includes filling your tray with media, which is something we learned last week. I'll go over it again. We're going to obtain our plant material like we have right here. Next, we're going to cut the coleus stems down to size. Next, we're going to cut down the leaves, so reducing the leaf area. I've got red stars next to both of these because we're going to be using a sharp instrument, so you need to be careful. Also, it's kind of specific, so I'm going to go into those steps in detail. Lastly, we're going to just stick the cutting into the media, and then that's going to develop roots and become a whole new plant. Okay, and so this is the coleus plant here, and I've gone ahead and taken some of the leaf cuttings, so I'll go ahead and show you. We're going to go ahead, I'll talk about the media first. So this is how you're going to fill a tray, and we learned this a couple weeks ago, but all you're going to do is just brush the media over the holes until they're about full, wipe off any excess, and don't pack them in because you don't want the plants to be, or the soil to be compacted, because that's going to hold too much moisture and possibly cause issues with some biotic factors like the pest paths and pathogens. Okay, so then essentially we're going to take this coleus stem right here. So it's, as you can see, it's got a bunch of different nodes with leaves on it. I'm going to go ahead and cut about 3 inches up to where you see these 2 leaves. Just give it a little cut just above the leaves. And now we've got a cutting that has leaves on top. Next, we're going to go ahead and reduce these leaves. I like to just pinch them together. It's easy when you've got 2 leaves per node there. So I'm going to go ahead and just put them together and then slice them in half. And so now we've got half of the leaf area. Now this is going to reduce the amount of transpiration. This plant doesn't have roots yet, and so it has a little bit of trouble trying to get moisture inside of the plant. And so in order to allow it to put more energy into root production and not desiccate before it's done so, we want to reduce the leaf area so there's less transpiration. So then you're just going to take this, stick it straight into the media. And you want to make sure that the leaves are still above, so about an inch in. So again, we're going to go ahead and just take some of this coleus stem right here. This one's got a lot of leaves on it. So we're going to go about 3 inches up. So I'm going to go up to right here. I'm going to go ahead and clip off the top. And now we have a bunch of leaves. I'm going to remove any of the bottom leaves. You can just pinch them off. You can use your hand cutters like so. Go ahead and just remove these bottom leaves, leaving only the 2 top leaves. And then we're going to, you can do this any way you want, but I'm going to pinch them together to hold them and just do 1 slice. And then there we go. We've got about half the leaf area left. And then you're going to just take this little stem and stick it straight into the media. And that's how you do leaf cuttings, at least with the coleus plant. So the next type of cutting we're going to do is a leaf cutting. And so this is pretty neat, where you can just simply take 1 leaf, we're going to stick it in this rooting hormone like this, and then just stick it straight into the media. And then roots are going to grow from that little basal tip right there. So this is going to be the first time we're using the rooting hormone. You're going to get a container that's something like this, and you don't want to contaminate all the contents. And so what we're going to do is take this and pour it into a smaller container. And this will allow you to only really use what you're putting into this container, and then you will throw this out when you're done. And so I've gone ahead and put some rooting hormone in here already. So we've got that ready to go. Next, you're going to cut a little leaf from the ZZ plant. And right here you see they kind of connect to the stem. They've got a very tiny petiole, but that's what we want to keep. And so you're going to get as close as you can to that stem, kind of pushing the hand cutters against the stem and give it a clip. And then you'll see we have a whole leaf with a little petiole on top. So then you're just going to take that little petiole, stick it into the rooting hormone, like so. And then you're going to give it a little tap to shake off the excess. It really doesn't take much of this stuff for the plants to start putting out roots. And then you're going to take that little tip and stick it straight into the media, just like that. All right, so again, we're just going to go take our clippers, go right up to the stem, clip away a leaf, take that little petiole, stick it into the media or to the rooting hormone, give it a little shake so you got a little bit of it on there, and then you're going to stick it straight into the media. And that's all you have to do to grow new plants. And these will take a couple weeks, but then they're going to put out roots at the bottom. So the last leaf cutting that we're going to be doing is a leaf bud cutting. This we're going to do using a golden pothos plant. So this is a vining herbaceous perennial. And basically this long stem that we have, I've got a piece here, has all these little initials where stems have or leaves have come out. And just on the other side of that is where roots are going to form. And so these automatically do it, but if the plant hasn't put out any leaves yet or any roots, no big deal. We know that they're there. They're underneath because you can tell where the node is. And so essentially we're just going to cut this down to just that node. We're going to stick the node into rooting hormone and we're going to stick it into the media. And so go ahead and just clip off a large piece. So you have a bunch of different pieces. These are all going to end up being individual plants. And so you're going to take your cutters. You're going to go about a ½ inch away from where that leaf and root are. So we're going to go ahead and just clip there. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to do about a ½ inch on the other side. And you end up with something like this, just a little T with a leaf attached. So we're going to take this piece with the stem, stick it into the rooting hormone, give it a little tap, get that excess off, and then you're just going to stick this T down into the media so that all you can see on top is just this leaf here. All right, so we'll do that again just for practice. We're going to take our stem of pothos. We're going to clip about ½ inch away from that where that leaf attaches. Going to do the same thing on the other side, winding up with a little T here. Take that T, stick it in your rooting hormone, give it a little shake so it ends up with not too much on it, and then you're going to take that and kind of bury it under the media so the only thing that's left on top is your little leaf. And again, those are going to put out roots, and in about 2 weeks we'll see new plants forming, and then we can just step up into new containers. Okay, So to review, we took some topics, some pretty big topics we learned in the past couple weeks: mitosis, totipotency, and cell differentiation. And so mitosis, we're going to go ahead and use the fact that plants regenerate with just brand new cloned cells. And so we can manipulate the plants and use them to make new plant parts. The totipotency, again, allows us to take one cell of a plant and create an entirely new plant. And so that's essentially what we're doing here. And the cell differentiation part is going to be manipulated by using this rooting hormone. These plants have cells that haven't differentiated yet, and so by inducing them with this rooting hormone, we're going to induce them to start putting out new tissues, such as the roots. And we also learned about our propagator's sphere of influence. This is what we're going to use within the greenhouse to kind of control all the abiotic factors. We're going to go ahead and take this tray, once we've filled it out, we're going to bring it into the greenhouse, and we're going to put the misters on, so lots of relative humidity, allowing the plants to not desiccate and to spend their energy on roots instead of trying to take up water. And also we're going to put some shade cloth over them so that they don't get too sunburned, which would also increase the transpiration. And so we've learned, we're going to take all these concepts that we've learned, and we're going to go ahead and make some new plants. And so does anyone have any questions? Okay, and with that, I'll be walking around, and if you need any help, just go ahead and grab me and I'll give you some assistance. Thank you.